I was thinking about what to share with you, and actually, an old dialogue with my teacher came to mind when I first became a teacher. I went into him in Daisan and I said, Roshi, please tell me how and what is the best way to give the best Dharma talk possible? And he said, whatever is most prominent in your heart, that's where you go. And that touched me very much. And I've kept that with me all these years as one of the most important things, what's in our heart. So what's currently in my heart is a koan from the Blue Cliff record. It's a favorite of mine. Every day is a good day, from the great Uman. It's pretty straightforward, and let me read it to you. I don't know if you folks do a lot of koan work. I'm going to guess you do. Is that so? Yes, yes, yes. Good, good. Okay. Uman addressed the assembly and said, I am not asking you about the days before the 15th of the month, but what about after the 15th? Come and give a word about those days. And then the assembly was silent. And so Uman answered himself. He said, every day is a good day. As I sit with this now, it comes to me again that, Uman was not asking the monks literally about what occurred before. He was asking about the nature of their consciousness and the nature of our consciousness, the activity of the consciousness that we have now and moving forward. In other words, we can't redo what happened on Wednesday or last year or last month. We can let that go, though, and we can be here now and participate in the flow of life that's occurring now. We're always a part of it. So when I sit with this koan now, I see and understand again that he's pointing to what runs underneath or through our experiences. Now we can call it positive samadhi, I suppose. That things are all right even when they're not. Every day is a good day. Why? Well, because they're occurring. Because this is it, this is it. Right here, right now. In our Zendo, we were doing a practice before the pandemic, in which it was almost became a kind of a funny back and forth between us, but important nonetheless, where somebody would say, how is it going? And the response would be, thank you very much. I have no complaints whatsoever. How's it going? Thank you very much. I have no complaints whatsoever. It didn't really matter what was going on, pending divorce, bad cold, loss of a job, child leaving home, whatever it was that was occurring through our life. There was a sense of practicing with being with the experience and holding it with tenderness and care, because when we hold it with tenderness and care, we can actually utilize it. We're not parsing out what was or what should be, what had happened in the past or what was supposed to happen in the future, but participating in the movement, in the flow of life, moment to moment to moment in each activity, and being able through our practice to utilize it. to help us to make ourselves come alive. How's it going? I have no complaints whatsoever. I remember Bernie Glassman giving some talks about this a long time ago. I would sit with him in New York, in Yonkers, and then up in Massachusetts, part of the Zen Peacemaker Order. And he would say, "What's the deal? What's the deal about this life? What's this life really about? What are we doing? What's it all about? You know?" And I remember that it was so important to me to hear that and to sit with that, because essentially he was saying this life is a journey that we're on. What's it all about? It's a journey. Are you taking it? What's the deal? How should we live? Are you part of the great adventure? You know. So Uman's Every Day is a Good Day is more about awakening to being with that inner movement of our life, moment to moment. You know? I see this also in my work as a psychotherapist. You know, one of the things that you see, I think, whether we're practicing and doing our zazen or even in the work of psychotherapy, is about opening up our heart to what our experience is and working with it. People come into psychotherapy, and a lot of them come in because they come in with the idea that they want to get away from the suffering that they're going through, that they want to somehow either be more or be better or be different. Some of them come in with a notion of a self-improvement course, you know, that somehow there's some lack going on that they need to compensate for. But the real work, I think, of both in Zen and also in psychotherapy is this sense of being with, this sense of utilization, that I always tell people that the reason why they come into psychotherapy is because they have outgrown an old way of looking at themselves in the world, that it's come apart. And that the idea of stepping into some type of psychotherapy work is in order to open up to something new, because it's happening, because it's coming out from inside of them. And if you don't know how to work with it, you can end up with a lot of symptoms: anxiety, tension, fear. I think the same is true actually of zazen. We sit and develop a container that can hold all of the experiences of our life. So whatever comes up, we practice through our zazen, bearing witness, opening our hearts to it. So through practice over time, especially a diligent practice, you find that your heart opens more and more and more and more and more and more and more until there's no inside and outside any longer. There's just the oneness of life flowing through you moment after moment. I no longer know what's good or bad or what's right or wrong. It's a conundrum to me. I don't know about to you guys. I was thinking about this old story. I think it's actually from the Han Dynasty. I'm really not sure. But it's a wonderful story about this where the neighbor of a farmer comes over and the farmer says, "My horse has run off." And the neighbor said, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible." And the farmer says, "Well, we'll see." And a week later, the horse comes back with another horse. And the neighbor comes over and he says, "Oh my gosh, you have now 2 horses. That's really wonderful." And the farmer says, "We'll see." And then the son goes out and gets on the horse and decides to take a ride and falls off the horse and breaks his leg. And the neighbor comes over and says, "Oh my gosh, your son broke his leg. That's horrible." And the farmer says, "We'll see." And a week and a half later, the army comes by looking for able bodied men to go and fight their war. And they don't take the boy because his leg is broken. And the neighbor comes over and says to the farmer, "My gosh, isn't that wonderful?" And the farmer says, "Come on, say it with me. We'll see." I thought it was a wonderful story because it really speaks to that thread that runs through our life and that we really don't know. We really don't know. The question becomes, how will you work with this journey that has been given to you? Bernie Glassman used to talk about the ingredients of our life. He would say, just work with the ingredients of your life. The ingredients that you've been given in your particular life is your particular journey. It's your particular work of awakening through what's been given to you in your own way. And yet, of course, it's so easy for us to want somebody else's life or somebody else's experience instead of really, embracing our own, blessing our own, not only the joys and wonders, but also the struggles. Because you probably know, if you've been sitting for some time, that when you are kissing the frog, it turns into the prince or princess. When you are willing to embrace what appears to be your struggle, there is the beginning of a transformation that you can begin to utilize this for your own growth and your own awakening. It opens your heart and enlarges it. Not only for yourself, but for other people, because once you embrace your own struggle and come to terms with making peace with it, you're more available when somebody else is struggling, and you can help them to come to peace with it. So being a good bodhisattva,